Ever feel like you're lugging around some seriously heavy emotional baggage?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think we all do, right?
That ex who like totally ghosted you, or that time you
Ah,
tried karaoke and it was a total disaster,
oh, the worst.
or even like anxieties that just won't quit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But what if like letting go of all that emotional weight wasn't just some like, airy-fairy self-help thing?
Right.
What if it was like actually the key to being healthier and happier?
Well, that's exactly what we're gonna deep dive into today.
Okay, cool.
It's super interesting how research shows a direct connection between holding on to negativity,
Mm-hmm.
all that resentment, regret, all that stuff,
Yeah.
and increased stress levels
Very elite.
and even physical
No
problems.
way.
Yeah, so it's like letting go isn't just some emotional cleanse.
Yeah.
It's like a total health upgrade.
Okay, so my brain totally gets that holding on to anger or sadness is bad for me,
Right.
but knowing that and actually doing it are like two totally different things.
Yeah.
Why is letting go so hard?
Okay, so that's a really great question, and it kind of gets to a fundamental part of how we behave as humans.
Okay.
We crave what's familiar,
Mm-hmm.
even when it's painful,
Interesting.
because anything unknown is just kind of scary by nature.
That makes sense.
Think of it like a path you always walk down.
Okay.
Even if it's full of potholes, you at least know where it leads.
Yeah.
But stepping off that path into the unknown,
Yeah.
that takes some serious courage.
So basically, we're kind of hardwired to cling to those familiar thought patterns,
Pretty much,
even the ones that make us like totally miserable.
unfortunately.
Yeah. One of the sources that you shared had this story about a listener who was like stuck in a breakup loop.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, like they were constantly replaying those last conversations, hoping for a different outcome.
Oh, yeah,
That
totally.
was like they were trapped.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of the trap we can fall into.
Wow.
And, it's understandable to cling to things, but it comes at a cost.
What do you mean?
It stops us from growing and changing
Huh?
and from having new experiences and opportunities.
Mm.
Imagine staying in a dark room when there's a whole bright world outside.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like.
Okay, you've convinced me.
Mhm.
I'm like ready to ditch all this baggage.
Awesome.
But how do I actually do that?
So letting go is definitely a process, not just a one-time thing.
Okay.
Think of it like a journey.
Okay, a journey.
Yeah, and the sources that you found actually have this practical framework that I really liked.
Cool.
The first thing, and this might sound a little weird,
Yeah.
is to actually lean into the discomfort.
Really?
Yeah, instead of pushing away those negative feelings, just acknowledge them.
So I shouldn't try to like distract myself
No.
or pretend those icky feelings aren't there.
Nope.
Why would I do that?
Because those feelings are trying to tell you something.
What do you mean?
By acknowledging them, you can start to understand why they're there
Yep.
and how they're affecting you,
Hmm.
and then ultimately how to move past them.
So it's all about being self-aware.
Exactly.
Okay, I get that.
So once you've acknowledged those feelings, the next step is to reframe how you're thinking about it.
Okay, what does that mean?
Instead of focusing on what you lost, focus on what you learned from it.
Hmm.
So ditch that victim mentality and embrace a growth mindset,
Okay.
like turning setbacks into stepping stones.
I love that.
Yeah.
So acknowledge, reframe, and then what?
And then it's all about action.
What kind of action?
Don't just think about letting go, actually do something about it.
Okay.
The sources talk about a bunch of great tools:
Like what?
journaling,
Okay.
meditation, yoga.
There's something about physically releasing tension,
Right.
whether it's writing or moving, that feels really cleansing.
Exactly. And it's about finding what works best for you.
Yeah.
Some people love to write down all their thoughts and feelings.
Mhm.
Others need a structured, guided meditation. It's all about trying things out and seeing what fits your personality.
Okay, so acknowledge, reframe, release,
Mm-hmm.
anything else.
Oh, yeah. Almost forgot.
What's that?
Forgiveness. Forgiving yourself and others.
Forgiving others.
Yeah, and this isn't about saying what they did was okay.
Right.
It's about freeing yourself from being resentful.
Oh, okay.
It's like putting down this heavy weight you've been carrying for way too long.
Forgiveness as like a path to freedom.
Exact.
I can totally get behind that.
Could.
So we've talked about these big steps,
Yeah.
but what about those everyday moments when old hurts pop up?
Right.
Like, how do we let go in the middle of a crazy busy day?
Well, first, it's important to remember that letting go doesn't mean forgetting.
That makes sense.
It's about accepting what happened and choosing to move on.
Okay.
Like having a scar.
Okay.
It's part of your story, but it doesn't define you.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. And one of the sources you shared actually had this really great tip for those everyday moments.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
When you feel that regret coming up, take a deep breath
Okay.
and say to yourself, I choose to release this.
Wow.
It's like a little ritual to stop that negative thought.
I could totally see myself doing that.
It's super powerful.
Yeah.
It reminds you that you have control over how you react to those thoughts.
So letting go isn't about reaching some destination.
Yep.
It's about the journey.
It is.
And it takes effort, but ultimately it's good for our emotional and physical health.
You got it.
That's awesome.
And, if we think about it, like if letting go of specific things is a journey,
Hmm.
what would it be like to have like a general attitude of letting go in our lives?
What do you mean?
Like letting go of the need to control everything or the
Yeah.
fear of things we don't know,
Yeah.
or even like the need to judge everyone?
Mm.
How do you think that would change our relationships and how we see the world?
Wow.
That's something I'm definitely going to be thinking about.
Yeah, me too.
It's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for bringing those sources.
Of course. Thanks for being here.
Anytime.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive.
All right.
See you next time.